Hey everyone. All right, I'm going to do some vibe coding today, and I'm at home because it's the weekend and I don't want to wake up my kids who are upstairs, so I hope you can hear me. So what I want to do right now is, okay, so we've got our monitors set up which track certain website pages, and then we've got the reports. And so if I come to the reports, I can look at the time frame for the last 24 hours, and I can see that the system has made almost 2,000 checks, 205 are alerts, and 205 are incidents. I think I just doubled up an alert for an incident, but what I want to make it is that for domains that are tracking uptime, I want alerts to be when the page is not accessible, and I want incidents to be when the page is slow. So that way we can differentiate between the two. And I might just make it so like not accessible and slow, because I'm trying to make this really understandable for people who don't track stuff on a regular basis. All right, so yesterday I came in here to settings. A bunch of the settings don't work yet, but I did get this one to work where you could set a threshold. So basically, any web page that's slower loading than 2,000 milliseconds or 2 seconds is not good. Google's looking at that and saying, you know, you got some problems. And I put in a failures before alert. So if you hit one page that's over 2,000, it will alert you. I got the saving to work with the toast. I also had an auto resolution, but I'm not going to code this right now, but I did set this up so that it works to save the settings. Okay, so just giving you what's going on. So basically I want to figure out how to get this total incidents to work. So right now, if I come in and I look at the last 24 hours and I go to the monitoring data history, it shows me all of the URLs that it's tracking. You can see that some of them have failed, most of them are success. If I just want to look at the failed ones, I can come over here to alerts, which will probably be failed because I don't want to be confusing alerts with alerts. So these are all the ones that have failed in the system. And I want another one that's just slow responding. And right now we don't have anything built. So this is what I want to walk through, how to build the incidents so it looks like alerts, but instead of failed, it pulls from the time. Now I've gone in, I've opened up my database analyzer. I've got my tables blocked out just for security, because I'm not sure, everything should be secure, but I'm not a security expert, so I just want to block out that. And all I want to show you is that I'm storing every single monitor in a database with its status code, its response time, the time it was checked, and if there's an error. And I originally set this up with this, and I saw, you know, anything that's greater than 2,000 is going to be a slow page. So you can see monitor number 1 has a slow page of 2.6 seconds basically. But then I had these timeout errors that were showing up, and I don't want timeout errors included because those are actually failed pages. So I'm going to also include error message is null, okay, and then select, and it removes all of those. So going into the database tables and actually looking at the data before you start asking AI to start coding it makes more sense, because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Okay, so now that I know my database tables need to have these query parameters up here, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to my cursor. Okay, so now I've got my I've got my files over here on the left-hand side. I've got my workspace in the center, and I've got Composer over in the right-hand side. I'm actually going to switch back to Claude 3.5. I don't really understand 3.7 well enough to use it, but I understand 3.5. So the page I want to update is reports. So I know that I want my page reports, and I also want the JavaScript to go with it. I might want functions as well. Okay, so I've got, whoops, okay, hold on, reports and functions. Okay, so it just includes the snippet up here. I'm not sure why. Okay, I guess I can collapse that. There we go. So now I want to tell it what I want in regular English. So when I load the blank page, I want to display data similar to the alerts tab. Let me just say when I load the incidents tab using that page, I want to display similar to the alerts tab. It should be a table just like the alerts tab, but the data should be using the filter and all right, and then let me go response time and only include response time greater than. Okay, so this is where I need to go into the settings. And I'm not sure where the settings are. Let me see here. Okay. I believe it's in this. I may cut this out, I'm sorry to say. Okay. It's alert thresholds. 2000, and you can find that in the WP meta user meta in the field. Okay, so I'm telling it where it should go look to find that information. Okay, let's have it do that. I don't want to give it too much. So basically it's going to reproduce the table. It's going to find incidents that are over 2000 that match the filter system. Now we're still missing the fact that we want the error message is null, but let's just send this off and see what it can do. All right, this sometimes takes a while. It'll go through a process of thinking and looking. All right, so it's saying we need to create a new Ajax handler for incidents, correct. Add the incidents table UI similar to alerts, good. Use the alerts threshold response time threshold from the user meta for filtering. Okay, so it said it more clearly than I could say it. Now it's gonna create the new Ajax handler. Okay. And it opened up page.reports in order to add that. And then it's gonna add Ajax handler for the incidents. Okay. All right, so it found another file that it needed to add it to because I'm using WordPress as the framework, which handles all the user registration, management, things like that. And when WordPress connects to the database from a web page, it uses Ajax. WordPress comes with that built in already, so it makes it really easy to connect a web page from the back end, basically plumb it up to the database and make requests without changing anything on the page. So that's what it's doing. And then finally it's saying, let's update the JavaScript to handle incidents. Great. You know, this is all the stuff that I would have had to think through on my own. And I might have gotten there, but most likely I probably wouldn't have. Any good programmer could get there. All right. Finally, it needs to add a nonce to the page template. So the nonce is basically a security protocol that says that the request to the database was made by the specific page, so that you can't have somebody like breaking in and making requests to the database without sending the proper nonce, N-O-N-C-E. You can look that up. Okay, so now that I like how confident Claude is. Now the incidents tab should be fully functional. So they did a table similar to alerts. They filtered based on that. It shows the information. Table supports pagination, refreshes with changing filters, includes that. Okay, so now what it does is it actually saves all these files. And I can accept this, but then if I don't like it, I can actually scroll all the way to the top and click restore, and it will back up all those files. I can also come over here. Right now we're in the file mode, but if I come over here to the source control, I can see that it updated these 3 files, just like I see right here at the top. Okay, so now we're going to go back over here, and I'm on the incidents tab. I'm going to cross my fingers, and I'm going to refresh the page, and it actually worked. So let's take a look at here. So we've got slow response, slow response, slow response. Now this one right here is actually not a slow response. This is a failure. And this was a failure, and this was a failure. Okay, so the way I can check that is so that's March 15th. I'm going to select secret project beta. Okay, that filters this page, great. I see it right there. Now I'm going to go to the alerts, and I see it right there. You can see that it failed. So the operation timed out. So technically it was a slow response, but it was actually a failure. So if I write page failure here and change this, so let's filter out. So we basically one-shotted that whole thing, and it worked, which is pretty phenomenal. But now we want to update the query so that it doesn't include failures. Okay, so we did error message is null. So we want to include a separate factor. Can you update let me get myself out of the way here. The query for this incidents tab to also include and operator when error message is null. Okay, so that means that there is no error message. Okay, and I'm telling it needs to be an AND operator. So let's see if we can two-shot this and get it all done. Sometimes I like to pare down what I'm asking the AI to do so it's a little bit more clear. Oftentimes when I have too many things in my head, the statements that I write just aren't as clear. Okay, it's going to update it to only show entries where the response time exceeds the threshold and there's no error message. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, perfect. This will help us isolate true performance incidents and not other failures. Okay. All right, so it's showing me where it's making the updates. And okay, it made the change. So I'm going to accept that. I'm going to come over to this, and now I shouldn't see anything with an error message in the right-hand side. So I'm going to refresh this page, and there are all the slow responses, no error message. So you can see this one was just over 3 seconds, just over 2 seconds, just over 3.6 seconds, 5 seconds. All right, this looks fantastic. So I've got my alerts for the last 24 hours. These are all the failures that happened. And then I've got the full monitoring history. So let's say I want to look at website uptime. It shows me just those. I'm going to select WebEx Media. And if I come over here to the overview, it says 0 alerts. Okay, so this should say 178 results, which matches my overview for 178 checks. And then if I go to alerts, oops, it says 1 alert. And then 2 slow responses. Okay, so I just need to make sure that this data is correct to what I'm seeing here, but this is for another day. I just wanted to show you how I added this functionality to see slow responses. So I think I'll change incidents to slow responses, and failed. I don't know, I need to think about clear communication for that, but this gives you an idea of how I added functionality for a specific area, and you can see that it took me about 17 minutes to do.